Well, hello again, and welcome to Galactic Wisdom. It is my pleasure today to have with me in the show Erin Bush. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Well, you are very welcome. Now, Erin Bush lives in St. Augustine, Florida, with her husband and her dog, Bean. I love how you name your dog, but you don't name your husband. I think that's
Oh,
great in the
Justin.
bio.
His name's Justin.
Oh, okay.
He's real, I promise.
Okay. She is a certified Reiki master, crystal healer, empath, and sensitive. She focuses on helping to heal chronic pain through Reiki and channeling galactic energy. Erin is a personal assistant and handler for Andrea Perron. She works as a caretaker and administrative assistant at the Conjuring House, and she guest hosts on A World Awakening, Dead Air, Full Spectrum, and A History of a Haunting. Fantastic. Well, it's so good to have you with us. I've got so many questions for you today.
Ready.
I am really interested in what you do at the Conjuring House. Can you tell us, first of all, how did that come to be that you work at the house that the Conjuring movies or the first Conjuring movie is based around?
I had quite a universe meeting with Andrea a couple of years ago at a Paracon. I just quit my job in law. Started working for her and her dad. Went to an event. Went to see the house last year for the first time, just to tour it like a normal person. And then went as Andrea's handler to an event last Halloween. So my background's in admin. I was a paralegal for 10 years. And got to know everybody up there, including Jacqueline, the new owner. And I kind of bothered Jacqueline because she would include me on things they were testing out. And I told her, I said, at some point I'm just going to show up and bang on the door and beg for a job. So she emailed me a couple of weeks later and she's like, well, what do you think about coming to work up here for a couple of weeks? Yes, please. And so it started out, I was the caretaker for the camping that we do on the property. And then that sort of morphed into coming up as a caretaker and helping the other caretakers on the property when I could get up there, because as you can imagine, we stay pretty busy there. And then the administrative position came at the end of November last year. They just needed some extra help from an admin perspective. But I think it's mostly because I when I get up there, I know what a privilege and an honor it is to be able to be there. And my parents always taught us, if somebody does something very nice for you like that, you just work your butt off and you toe the line and you help where you can. And so that's sort of how I ended up there, was just kind of trying to help where I could and fill a need where it looked like there was one. But there are days I still pinch myself going, how did I end up here? So that's a fact. I still sometimes do that. I'm like, how did I get here? How did I end up here? It's not a place just anyone can work. I think energetically you have to align with the house. Because we do believe the house matches energy. So whatever you bring onto the property, it's going to give back to you. So I think I tend to come in with a bit of light and very respectful and just wanting to learn. I want to be a student of that property. It's such a magical place to be. And, we've got everything there. You've got spirits, you've got galactic stuff, you've got, elementals, things in the woods. I mean, it's got everything. So what better place to really learn about the paranormal than in that particular location?
Yeah.
It's fun.
I didn't know that there was camping there. I would love to camp on that.
It's a new thing they started last year. And basically what you do is you rent a tent site. So they've got 8 tent sites on the property. The best part is they're spread out enough to where you're not on top of each other. So you could be with a full gamut of campers, all 8 sites filled, and never run across anyone the rest of the night. So you check in at like 5, you have a tour of the land, you get to go into the merch shop, and then we just let you go the rest of the night, investigate where you want. And then those of us as caretakers, we're also camping. We stay out in the field with the campers, so in case they need us, we're easy to get to. And that became after the first 3 nights of sheer fear, I'm not going to lie, sleeping out there, having never slept anywhere haunted. Well, I live in St. Augustine. It's haunted, but different haunted. I was really scared the first couple of nights, but we had spirits come in. They're like, you're good. It's fine. And that very quickly became my favorite place to sleep because where we live, it's tourists all the time. It's very busy. It's very crowded. And it's in that field, you're able to just hear nothing but what's going on in the environment around you. So there's something very peaceful about it. Daunting at the same time, because it is still the Conjuring House. I mean, let's be honest, it's, you know, it's got a reputation for a reason, but I've only had wonderful experiences there. I've never had anything negative happen. And I think it's opened my eyes to a lot, especially if you're into the sky watching thing, which we clearly are. You could just sit out there for hours and watch things going on. So camping, highly recommend. Definitely do it.
Fantastic. It sounds like it's a busy place. Is it open as a tourist attraction every day?
Basically, yeah. They do day tours during the day, depending on the time of year. Right now, we're on a break from the day tours just to give kind of everybody a little bit of a break, give the house a little bit of a break, give the spirits a bit of a break. But typically 2 to 3 tours a day, and then investigations at night. And then camping's obviously only during the spring and summer, because in Rhode Island, obviously, it's too cold to camp right now. But they do a little bit of everything, which is nice there. So yeah, you can tour it. The day tours are only like $25. So you really can't beat that. You get a full tour of the house.
I'm really looking forward to getting there. I'm curious, on the inside, has the owner tried to make the furnishings, the decor comparable to how it was when Andrea was living there?
It's interesting because it's not a huge, it doesn't have a ton of furniture inside. So a lot of the things that are in there are technically kind of period type pieces, like some of the sofas, some of the chairs. But it's pretty bare bones as far as furniture goes. Again, because, you know, you've got people traipsing in and out of there all the time. They do have beds in all the bedrooms because people will sleep there. But the bulk of some of the more like antique type furniture is downstairs, but there's just not a ton of it. Right. So it's not a fully furnished house. Right. Just enough for people to be able to comfortably, you know, sleep there if they need to, you know, set up their equipment. There's a full kitchen that you have access to. But really try to let the beauty of the inside of the house speak for itself. I mean, it's over 300 years old. So yeah, the way it's constructed just alone is phenomenal, you know, hand forged nails and, you know, pegging in the boards. And I mean, you can see all the saw marks on the ceiling joists and the boards and the floor this wide. Like, I just love standing in the house just to look at how it was constructed, you know? So
that is wonderful. So what was the very first experience that you had there that was of a paranormal nature?
I had 2 in one night. Do you mean experiences like I've had something every time I've gotten the first thing that happened when we went and walked in the woods during the day after afternoon tour in the forest in June. So by all accounts, it should be filled with critters and things crawling around and birds chirping. There was nothing, no sound at all. So that was the first one I had. But when we came back in October, I saw my first full body apparition. That same night had my first door pop open. But there's always something going on. But those are my first like 3 big ones. The lack of sound, that's happened once or twice. We've heard some weird whooping down there. Almost sounds a bit Sasquatch, Bigfoot-ish type sounds, which to me, when I've always wondered in a forest, when things are that silent, what else is in the woods that's making them that silent? You know? Yeah. I mean, they have fat squirrels, big chipmunks, and all kinds of critters and birds out there, but there are certain times there is not a sound. You can hear your own heartbeat in the woods sometimes. It's so quiet, which I found odd.
Now, you yourself, am I correct in saying you are spiritually perceptive, you're psychic, however you would describe that? So yes. You probably can perceive more going on in the house than regular people, would you say?
Probably. I'm a little bit, I mean, we're all a little bit different in how we get our information from a psychic perspective. But because I'm so much into energy, I would fall, I guess, into the clairsentient category. So I feel things more than I see them physically. So I can tell what kind of energy I'm dealing with when I walk in. I can actually feel the house about 4 miles before I get there. So to me, it's more tapping into the energy that's in the space. So, but at this point now, I mean, I've seen the ghost. We have a ghost cat. I've seen the ghost cat. I'm starting to see more than I used to see, but I think that's more the spirits getting used to me being in the house. I was the new kid for a while. So
Right.
I think the more time you spend there, the more they get comfortable with your presence in the house or on the land itself. But there hasn't been a trip yet where it's been no experiences. They just keep escalating, but in good ways, seeing things and doors opening and closing it. But it's like they're starting to settle into my energy too. So for me, it's always very important to set my intention with them before I even get there. Like 2 weeks ahead of time, I start telling them, I'm coming to work, I'm coming to learn, I'm coming, that's it. I just want them to know I'm coming, because we know that the spirits find that to be very important. They want to know what people's intentions are, even though they already know who you are before you get there. They want to hear you say it, I think. So we always wonder, like, we kind of check things in the morning on tours, and we're like, are they doing the same thing up there? Are they having like a staff meeting? Like, okay, this person's good. This person's good. This person's good. You know what I mean? Like, are they doing the same thing we're doing, just on their side of the veil? But for me, it's always been how things feel to me.
Yeah.
More than seeing things. Yeah.
And it sounds like most of the time your experiences there, your perceptions there have been quite positive.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think any of us that work there would be remiss in saying, is there a darker energy in there? Yeah, somewhere there is. Is it demonic? No. Sorry to disappoint some people. Some people have left because we told them there weren't demons. But I think overall, the majority of what you're dealing with are humans. They lived there. They worked the land. Maybe they camped as soldiers on the land. There's just something about that location that they still seem to love. Like, we've been in conversations with them before, and they'll tell us we have to go back to work now. It's like, I mean, we're so far beyond getting, who are you? How did you die? What happened to you? Now we're getting things like biscuit recipes, bread recipes, what their favorite trees were. Where do you want them planted? We have trees on the property we've planted for a couple of the spirits, because they told us what their favorites were and where they wanted them planted. So Jacqueline tries to keep them very much involved in all the decisions of what goes on at the house. So they feel much more like a part of it now. So it's sort of like a team effort on both sides, which is fascinating to me. It makes my brain hurt a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. How does the communication take place?
So for me, a lot of times if I'm feeling something or I'm hearing things, I'll tap in. Sometimes I'll use pendulum work. I use a pendulum. If we're lucky enough, if Cody and Satori are on the property, they don't do what they do when they're working, but they've spent so much time there. A lot of the information we're getting are things that they've learned. Or we've happened to, have a session in the mornings before things get started because they have a question about something. But I think a lot of it's just feeling it out. Yeah. For me, it's feeling it out. Yeah.
That's wonderful. It's giving me an idea, and I don't know what you would think about this, but I lead sessions where I do astral projections. Typically, we will astrally project to different alien beings, non-human entities.
Sure.
And we usually have communication with them. We usually see them and have communication with them. I did one time try and astrally project with a team of remote viewers to the grave of one of my ancestors, because there was a mystery and we didn't know where they were born, where they came from. All we have is the grave site, the gravestone. And we tried remote viewing to there. And for the first time ever, our remote viewers felt like they were being pushed away. But I'd be curious to know what you would think about the possibility of me and some of my remote viewing team remote viewing to the house, astrally projecting to the house, and trying to open up a friendly dialogue with any of the beings that were there.
I think they'd be fine with it. I mean, I'd be happy to run it by Jacqueline. I kind of operate under the pretense that if I'm going to do anything, I always ask the owner first, just out of respect for her house. Yeah. But I think she'd be fascinated by that. I have a friend who can remote the farm. She does it often. Especially like if I'm feeling someone around and I'm kind of not able to tap into it myself, my friend Carrie, I can call her and be like, hey, can you check in where I'm sitting right now? And she can do that. So I think more people probably do that than we realize. Nobody's just really talking about But if you want to do it with a group, I can certainly run that up the flagpole to the boss lady, because I think she would think that's really interesting as well.
That sounds fantastic. Maybe some of
Yeah.
the people watching this show will get involved in that, because a
Yeah.
lot of
That
well,
would be really neat to do.
another thing that fascinates me about your experiences is you've mentioned what you think may be a portal on the property. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the first time I was there last summer, I just kept getting a visual of a thin, flat, almost oval shape, but not perfectly oval shaped portal. It's purple and blues and greens, and it spins faster when Andrea's coming, I've noticed. And I feel like it sits probably 30 or 40 feet above the house, and I feel like it's there all the time. But we also have one in the basement there, in the well room at the well. So I think it's almost like a mini Skinwalker Ranch in some ways, because you have a lot of the same sort of activity going on. You got the native connection, you've got the galactic connection. And so I feel like a lot of them are coming in and out that way. But I always see it above the house. And sometimes I think I'm crazy, because I don't know that I've talked to anybody else that's seen it, but I don't know if anybody's really looking for that. I wasn't really looking either. It just happened to show up one day, and then I was like, oh, I can see this all the time. So I don't have anybody that can really confirm or deny it. Andrea, I think, believes that it's definitely, I mean, she always says it's a portal cleverly disguised as a farmhouse. So I don't know, but it's like paper thin, and it just sits above the house. It goes the whole length of the house.
Wow.
And I think it's there. Yeah.
This is fascinating, because there's a few different ideas and theories about what portals might be.
Right.
Excuse me. One theory is that a portal is just a place where beings cross between dimensions. Like if a being in a two-dimensional piece of paper, a flat piece of paper, just decides to move up or down. And if that were to happen, it could be that there is some kind of energy disturbance. For example, if a dolphin were to come and swim up out of the surface of the water, there may be a splash. So it could just be sort of an energy ripple. That's one theory. Another theory for a portal is that it is some kind of an opening between two places, like in French, the word for door is porte, a portal. It's a doorway, and there is an actual opening there between two places where there's not openings in other places, and beings are passing through. And what you're perceiving when you look at it is somehow you're seeing the structure of that opening. Yeah. Another theory is that, because I'm running these theories by you.
I love this. No, I love it.
You can think about it and think which one matches the best.
Because I'm going back up, so I will file these in the brain and report back accordingly.
Another possibility for a portal is there is some kind of a wormhole, a tunnel, but between two different places, and this portal connects the two together. And you've described a spiraling or a swirling. That might indicate that there is some kind of a tunnel between two places.
Interesting.
The other possibility, which isn't really a portal, but you mentioned Skinwalker Ranch. They call it the anomaly above Skinwalker Ranch. Could this be a cloaked vessel? Could this be and I say vessel, meaning some kind of object or phenomenon that contains probably non-human beings, not necessarily a craft that's coming and going, because the one over Skinwalker Ranch is just stationary. It could be a habitat where either aliens or spirits of humans and other entities live. And the swirling effect, the spiral effect, might be a result of light refracting around the anomaly, like a refractive effect, or even a relativistic effect.
Yeah.
If there's sizable gravitational fluctuations there. So I know you don't know the answer to all of these things, but do any of those theories seem to be more likely or less likely to you?
I think the opening definitely seems likely to me. I also think the habitat could be very likely to me because I always see it. I've never been there and not seen it. And I see it here. Like I don't see it with my physical eyes. I'm seeing it with my third eye. And I think given the nature of the house where we have spirits from all over the place coming in, I think either is an option, but I think too, as many sensitives as you get on the property, do we also add to that energetically, especially if we're connected to the galactics? Are we somehow from an energetic standpoint increasing what's going on there as a result? Right? So I think it could be, as soon as you said opening, that makes the most sense to me, but habitat does too, because there's so much activity from a galactic standpoint up there as well. I don't know. I'm going to have to now go try and figure that out because there's so much more there than what meets the eye and more than the movie can ever cover. And I think the one thing we're not discussing enough about that particular property is the galactic UFO connection. I mean, the first time I went up there with Andrea, as soon as we got out of the car, within 30 seconds, we had like this, I think she described it almost like something ripped in time that we saw like in the sky. You know, weird. I saw what looked like almost like vector lines, but they were two L's and they were sort of staggered by each other, but they were rainbow, like shimmery. And they were quick, probably 2 to 3 seconds, and then they were gone. But I'd never seen anything like that before. And that all happened literally within the first like 2 to 3 minutes we had even gotten out of the car. So there's something about that location that seems to draw them in. I don't know why. I mean, I understand like the spirit perspective historically, you know, wars, things, but that all completely makes sense to me. And even though I don't understand the science of how the portals work and how the alien connection works, that also makes sense to me for some reason. Like, it's just like in my heart, I know it feels true.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I mean, I don't have a degree in anything, but it resonates well to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm a space scientist, and
Yes, you are. You have all that knowledge I don't have.
I didn't mean to compare myself with you when I said that.
No, I think somebody like you needs to go there because you have a lot of information that the rest of us don't have, that you can probably help us sort of navigate what we're looking at, you know?
Yeah. Because I have sat back, and again, I'm going to compare what's going on in the Conjuring House with what's going on at Skinwalker Ranch. I've sat back and enjoyed watching The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch, but I have seen those people completely misinterpret data. I have seen lens flares appear on the screen on 2 or 3 occasions, and obviously lens flares appearing on the screen, and they're saying a second beam appeared out of nowhere. I have seen them fumble around in the dark with their GPS satellite data, seeing the positioning of the satellites that the satellites are giving underneath the surface of the ground, and their response, that makes no sense. That's their response. That makes no sense. And I'm sitting at home thinking, yes, it does make sense. Yes, it does make sense. You just need to think a little bit more. Go to the next step. Why would that happen? Think about what's happening with the satellite and the GPS system. And you know, it's so, and I've seen them. And I apologize. I don't mean to be criticizing the Skinwalker.
No, listen, I would rather watch it without them talking. Just let me look at the property. That's all I want. I watched it on mute because I can't.
Yeah.
So I understand.
I'm going to recommend that everybody that's watching this go and watch it because it's good. It's good. It's interesting. There's real stuff going on. But they were, their methodology is different to mine. They're firing rockets and explosives up at the anomaly. They're firing flamethrowers at the anomaly as a means of communication. Well, I've had all these ideas for things that I could do to test what kind of anomaly it is, and to communicate with the beings there. In fact, I have communicated with the beings there successfully. And I'm feeling now an idea, wouldn't that be cool, to go in and do a respectful, loving, caring, communicative, non-intrusive investigation with the permission of the spirits and the entities that are there, of the portal and the other occurrences going on at the Conjuring House.
I think that's a brilliant idea. I think the more people come in with the need to learn about it from something away, aside from the movie. Now, of course, you're never going to get away from the movie. The movie obviously brings people to the house, and most people are very open to learning about what's fact and what's fiction in between the movie. But people aren't discussing the galactic connection unless it's Andrea. No one's talking about it because their mindset is they're just trying not to get attacked by the non-existent demon on the property. But it's like, if you just take it in, like I never thought I'd ever go there. I remember telling Andrea, I was like, I would love to just stand on the property and just the presence of that kind of energetic power. That was my thing. Like, I didn't care about touring the house. I didn't even see the movie until I started working for them because I hate horror films. But to me, there was something like I needed as an energy person, I needed to sit in that kind of power just to see what it felt like. Not because I would get the power, but just to witness something so old. I mean, of course, not on the scale of, Europe, but for the US. But then also to see what else is going on, because I knew even before I went there that there were other things going on there. It just felt like it's not just spirit. It's not just cryptid. There's more happening there, and I wanted to see it. So I think if people came in with just a completely open mind, no preconceived notions at all, which is hard, and just sit out there quietly and just let the property talk to you. Let, the Galactics, just let them talk to you. Just let them tap in, and however, the information comes to you, because of course we all get our information differently. I think people would be amazed at what they can learn about that place that has nothing to do with spirit. Yeah. So I think for you to be able to go out there and do that would be amazing. I'd love to get the data on that. To put some of our theories to, kind of like give us some validity to what I'm sensing. And I think also would probably draw them in more. I think the more people we have that go up that want to talk about the galactic connection to that property, that's going to draw them in more. I mean, I've yet to be up there where they're like, hello, we are here. We know you're here. They obviously want to talk to us. So it's like, if you just go in with an open mind, wanting to learn about the place and just listen, who knows what people will find. But you should absolutely, I'm totally going to call Jacqueline in the next couple of days. She's bouncing around all over the place to run it by her.
That's awesome. Andrea and myself, we're collaborating on a couple of new video projects. One of the projects is we're just us two putting together a series of discussions, her and me talking about things from her life. We've already recorded a lot of her cosmic contact experiences over the course of her life, and I'm just editing that together now. That'll be episode 1. But one of the things we're going to do, obviously, is talk about her time in the house. And in one of the episodes, hopefully this year, I will go to the house with Andrea, and we will do some recording, and we will see what happens. And I'd be quite surprised if nothing happens.
I would also be I know if I show up and stuff happens, you're not going to have that problem, I don't think. Because I do believe, I didn't have any contact with UFOs knowingly. I didn't know how to. I've always been fascinated. I had an interesting scare as a kid. I think that kind of put a little bit of a block for me with them. Not their fault. It was a movie. But I remember talking to Andrea, and she said, are you channeling them when you do energy work? Because, of course, when I do energy work, I take zero credit. It's not my energy that's working for people. It's basically something I'm channeling through my system. I'm just sort of like the battery, you know. But she just said, you need to start calling them in. They're healers. Boom. As soon as I started doing that, they were showing me all kinds of stuff. And I, you know, one of the first things, the first thing Andrew said to me was, you're Arcturian. And I told her, I said, I've heard that before. I'd heard it about 6 months before from my first mentor, but never did anything with it. Right. Like I just, oh, okay, sure. I didn't know what that meant. But I've found since I've started, they're very much a part of my practice. And, you know, when my own practice or practices with clients, I always call them in because I know they want to help. And the things that they've showed me that this particular group, this particular race seem to be healers. Mm-hmm. You know, I have they gave me a specific download for helping with chronic pain. And people are like, oh, where'd you come up with that? I'm like, I didn't, they gave it to me. And it seems to work really well. And it's channeling that blue Arcturian energy for people who suffer with a lot of pain. Because I think they understand that those of us who are connected, once we figure it out, we can be sort of an extension of whatever their mission is to help the human race. Like, obviously I can't fix it. They can't fix it for us, right? We have to like dig ourselves out of the chaos that we've created. But I do think there are certain humans that may have a closer connection that we weren't aware of. And as soon as you start figuring that out and working with them, it's amazing what you can do. Like I know my sessions, the effectiveness just started going through the roof, especially when I'm dealing with people with pain. But I always make sure I don't get the credit for that. They get the credit for that because they have been nice enough to share with me what they think works for humans as far as helping them heal. And it's just like a 3-minute little meditation where you sort of visualize I always call it like a thread or a piece of floss coming up from there. And it almost is like lightsaber blue. But you basically channel it through your crown chakra into wherever hurt, like if it's your back. And they showed me it, you visualize it almost like cocooning around the spots that hurt. If that makes sense. Like it's a one thread, but it just spins around and around till that area is completely covered and it keeps spinning. And then the other end of the thread goes to the ground. And they explained to me that the blue is dual purpose, that on one hand, it forces your brain to focus on healing by nature of channeling this energy and tapping into that. So you're automatically getting out of, oh my God, I'm in so much pain. This is never going to stop. But now you're proactively trying to do something to help yourself. But that blue light both pulls stuff out that's not good, sending it to the earth, but then also infuses it with that loving, cooling, calming energy. And for whatever reason, I've got several friends who do it pretty regularly because they've got chronic conditions and it seems to make a huge difference. Or if I'm hands-on, if I'm with them, just putting my hand on them and basically telling them to flip the switch. And then I just let them run it through and then they eventually will turn it off when they're done. So I feel like those of us who are connected are very remiss in not listening to what they're trying to tell us and then trying to put it into practice. Of course, it's different for everyone. But we're a team, and we should be, is how I feel about it now.
When you connect with the Arcturians, do you see them? Do you get any visuals on them and what they look like?
I have had that happen a few times. The first time it happened, I was doing energy work usually when I do the parents, I do all the parents. So Andrea, her sisters, her mom, her dad, I do them all. And I had just had that conversation with Andrea beforehand about how do I work with them? Like, what do I do? And I tapped in and it was like instant. I started seeing, you remember back in the 80s, there was an artist who focused a lot of his work on AIDS. He was raising a lot of money for AIDS and they were like white figures and they were primary colors, but the figures were always white, but the art around them was different colors. So the first thing I saw was this humanoid, and that's what it reminded me of, was this artist. And it was solid white, But then just outside the white was every single color that exists, starting from red and going all the way out where there wasn't color anymore. And then they started rushing in, like seeing them. And it was interesting because I didn't realize, nobody told me, that they get right here. Like, I'm one of those personal space people, and it was like right here. And so they were rushing in and kind of like checking me out. And then the next thing they showed me was all of them standing around working on a human, like on a table. But it was apparent to me that they were like helping, not hurting. So I think, obviously, by no thanks to the government, although I'm sure being abducted or worked on is scary, I think it's actually helping them. But we have such a skewed reality of what that may look like. But they will pop in on occasion. But that's the biggest visual they've ever given me. It was like, okay, now you're on the right path, is what it felt like. They were showing me what I needed to see for them to basically say, yes, you are connected to us. This is what we can do. And this is how we can help you help other people. And that's how it's always felt to me.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, we have a lot of people out there watching us, and I would just like to say hello to some of our friends out there. Let's take a minute to see who's out there.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi,
I know
Melissa.
a lot
Thank
of
you
these people.
for being here.
Shelley,
thank you for watching. Karen, fantastic. Good to have you with us. Marie, hello. I saw a lot of these people last night. We did an amazing meditation. It was so much fun.
I'm so bummed I missed it. I was in the car.
Oh,
I love Marie.
There will be others.
Yes.
Let's see. Diana. Hey, Diana.
Hi.
Thank you for being here. Just looking down. Brady is with us.
Love Brady.
And Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Well, hey, Joe. Good to have you with us. Casey.
Hey, Casey.
We're part of a family. We're part of a community, and I know it might seem a bit strange to go through all these people for some of our audience members who aren't part of the active community, but we all know each other. We're all friends, and you can all join us anytime you want to in our Galactic Wisdom Facebook group and come and chat with us all. Hey, Gadget and Effie. I know some of these people have got like pseudonyms here. I'm just going to say the pseudonyms.
Yeah. Gadget is Liz. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I just blew your cover, Liz. My bad.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that, but that's okay.
She's like, dang. I probably shouldn't have done that either, but I didn't give a last name, so hopefully that helps.
That's okay. She's fine. She might actually be on an episode.
Good.
In one of these shows. Sometimes we pre-recorded an episode just sort of for fun for some of our audience members, but it was good. We might stream it sometime.
Well, and I think we all at the end of the day have a common intention. We all realize that we're part of something much bigger, and we all want to learn. And so, it's a space where it's judgment free. People are nice, which especially in the paranormal field can be very hard to find. Yeah. It's just a very loving community that you've got going. And it's funny how many are in both the paranormal and in the galactic end. So I think everyone's starting to expand their knowledge base because it's all still connected. Yeah. It's just like different radio stations to me,
It's my vision for the future is universal peace, universal love, universal happiness. And universal means all conscious, sentient life. That includes living humans and non-humans, animals. It includes spirits of people and spirits of animals. It includes our galactic family out there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's that. I think we all agree that there is a collective consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Some of us call it source, whatever it is. But we all have to admit that there's something bigger that unites us all. And of course, we get into quantum entanglement and quantum physics, which I know nothing about, let's be honest, other than how it works in Reiki. But there's clearly something that connects all of us together. I don't think you can deny that any longer. And the more we tap into that, what you said, love, and the more light workers come out and try to do what they can do to help the planet, I hope we get there sooner rather than later. It'd be really nice to get there.
Absolutely. I've got an image here that a friend of mine drew and then colorized. Does
Mm-hmm.
this being here look at all comparable to any of the beings that you've seen?
Yes. Didn't have the green jewel in the center, and no clothes. I was mostly seeing faces.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, very similar to that. Very, very similar to
Interesting.
that.
This
Mm-hmm.
this is a drawing by Laura Zoller of an Arcturian.
Aha. Well, and the blue is the thing that resonates for me the most. There's something very specific about the color they use, and she's got it pretty much dead on. Especially in the head. I call it lightsaber blue, but it's because that's the only thing I can really equate that color to. It's not like a deep blue, it's that color blue. That's the kind of what I'm trying to explain to people the color is. Like, it's not a blue that we typically play with, but it's that shade of blue. So yes,
have you ever asked any of the Arcturians what their names are?
I have not.
There's
I can do that?
There's some homework for you. You might have to ask them to spell out their names.
Okay.
Rather than just hearing a full name, but they will. I've known them do that for people in the past, and it would be interesting to find out if the beings that you're in touch with are any of the ones that I'm also in touch with.
I definitely need to try that. And I think because obviously their names aren't going to be, Bob, Jim, and Karen. So yeah, I definitely want to do that because I don't get as much visually, but I do work with a pendulum. So I learned that from coding tutorials. I can use the alphabet with a pendulum, much like they use for their method of contact. And it works really well. So I'm definitely going to do that. Because fantastic. I feel the more I can connect to them, the more I can learn about them, the better off I am as an energy worker.
Yeah. Wonderful. Now, you shared with me a few photographs. So if I put some of these photographs up on the screen, maybe you can talk about them, what they are, where they are.
That was at this last May. We went to the Parapsychon at Ohio State Reformatory. So that's actually in the prison. And that was quite a place. That's the only place I walked out of and made a conscious effort to say, you guys cannot follow me home. And it's not because they were scary, but you had the spirits we came in contact were just so devastatingly sad.
Yeah.
And as an empath, I didn't want to walk off the property with that, but man, that is quite a place. It is huge, hauntingly beautiful. I would call it.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, that was quite a place. That's at the Conjuring House. That's right outside our staff quarters. That was my very first trip there last June. And you can tell I'm just like ear to ear grin because I cannot believe I'm actually standing there.
How many buildings are there on the Conjuring property? So
you have the main house. That was an old barn back when the parents used it as a woodshed. It was converted after they left to basically be a living space. But there's the barn, the big barn from 1801, the one that just had a fire. And then Jacqueline built we call it the baby barn, which is something she put on the property to store equipment, the Kubota and things like that. And then there are two smaller wood sheds along the wagon trail, but I think those were put in by the lady who lived there for 30 years. And that's really it. Now, of course, there's a lot of stone walls on the property. The tents are up. We have two trailers on the property. But as far as the old stuff, it's really the house and the big barn. And the house was finished in 1736. So, yeah.
How is the barn that caught fire?
It was really sad to see it, to walk in it and see. Obviously, I was watching it be constructed. She was, working on turning it into an event space. But what's interesting is it was on fire for 5 hours and it's still standing. And the wood on the inside of the barn is from the 1800s. So we've wondered how many of them ran from the house to the barn, the spirits, to, that wood's over 200 years old. And it's, the bulk of the damage seems to be at the front, which is where the fire occurred. The back of it seems to mostly be the smoke damage. But by all accounts, it should have burned to the ground, I think, based off what we saw. It was just an accident, stupid accident, human accident. But I do think the spirits had a hand in keeping it from falling down. I mean, hopefully she's going to be able to, rebuild it when she's ready and fix what needs to be fixed. But I think based on what I saw, it probably should have burned down, and it didn't. Like, you almost can't tell from 3 sides of the barn that there was a fire there.
Okay.
So
the barn is going to remain. It doesn't have to be torn down and rebuilt.
They have not. I haven't heard any. I don't know that they've gotten a final report from the structural people yet, the engineers. Obviously, with insurance and things like that's going to take a while. And of course, she's not going to tell me everything. Who am I? But it feels to me like it's going to be fixed, like from a gut perspective. And I think John Arnold and his dad built that barn. And I could see John the night of the fire, like frantically running around inside, yelling, "No, no, 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 no." As it was burning. So I do think, I mean, it's just my opinion. I do believe that they had some spirit intervention in keeping that thing from burning to the ground. And you got to remember too, there's no fire hydrants there. So they had all these trucks that were having to truck water in from the river, which is conveniently located. But that thing burned for like 2 hours before it was, because it was inside,
Oh dear.
But I think by all accounts, it probably should have burned down, and it didn't. Which is nuts.
Well, it is certainly wonderful that it did not.
Agreed.
We
got 5. Bill's going to give you the 5-minute warning soon.
Yeah. Sorry, I just lost my place there.
You're all right.
I am looking for your other photos. There they are. Right. So
that one. So that is obviously me and Andrea and my very close friend, Carrie Hopper. She runs History of a Haunting podcast. She is very, very, very connected to the farm. She's the one that actually can remote view the farm. But I like just showing pictures of us being completely ridiculous, because that's pretty much how we are in real life most of the time. We were at an event together in Charlotte, North Carolina last year. And so that was at dinner, just being stupid. There was no drinking involved. Just you get a bunch of goofballs together. Andrea's dad, my surrogate granddad, Roger. That was us at the Conjuring House staff party, Christmas party a couple of weeks ago. That was us at dinner. And you can see like behind us on the walls, John and Abigail had told us, we asked how they decorated for Christmas. And so Satori had gotten the information. So we went out on the property and pulled and cut pieces from the different trees on the property and hung it around in the house, just like they would have done it. So that was the staff party. That was a lot of fun.
That's wonderful. Cody and Satori, they, it sounds like they have interesting techniques for communicating with spirits. Have you been present when they've done that?
Oh, yes. Several times. It will never get old. It always makes my brain explode. They've got an energetic connection where when they touch physically, typically wrist to wrist, skin to skin like this, if there's spirits in the room, you hear them start to walk in the room from all over the place. Sometimes the tapping sounds like it's coming from the floor. Sometimes it sounds like it's coming from the walls, everywhere and nowhere all at once, if that makes any sense. And so what they do is, and they're still trying to navigate this. They don't know why this works the way that it works. Now, Cody had cancer, I think he had leukemia when he was a teenager, and he had 2 near-death experiences. So obviously he's known to them already. And they use the alphabet to communicate, and the spirits communicate with knocking, 1 for yes, 2 for no. And so a lot of the information we get about the farm, like the recipes, are from their method. They went viral in October for the videos they were on with these YouTubers. And what they do is just astounding. I've never seen anything like it, and it never gets old. And now my new favorite thing is to watch somebody else see it for the first time in person. Because I mean, you can't deny it, what's happening. And of course, everybody's, they're faking, they're fraudulent. I'm like, no, they're not. This is just an energetic connection we can't explain yet.
Yeah. That's
but
fantastic.
They're incredible.
I wonder if they would have any success during a alien contact event. whether their
They might.
method
I don't
might also
know.
be used to communicate with.
I don't know if they've
non-human
tried
beings.
that. I don't know that they've tried that. I'll have to ask them and see. This is something they figured out about 5 years ago, and they've kept it under wraps up until 2 years ago, because they just were trying to figure out if it was them really, or what was causing it, or why it was happening. But that would be interesting too to see. But typically it's people who come on the property or come to an investigation and their family member died in like California, and they've come to visit someone who's at a house in New England. They've come and seen, the spirits have explained they see it as a beacon, like a light. And, spirits from California coming to New England to talk to their family member who happened to show up on an investigation randomly, and they don't know these people from Adam's house cat. So they're meant to do this for a reason. And that would be interesting to see if they can tap into the Galactics as well. I'll have to ask them and see.
Fantastic. They'd be very welcome guests on this show if they ever wanted to attend.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
they're trying to navigate their chaos at the moment, but things will settle down eventually, I think.
We're moving towards the end of this show. So,
already? That was so fast. It goes by so fast.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Erin, for being here. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you for having me. It was really an honor to be here and to be asked. And I'm always just tickled when somebody wants me to come on and talk on their show. So
yeah, it's wonderful to hear about all of your experiences, particularly at the house, and it just fills me with ideas, investigative ideas, things that I would love to be able to try. Yeah.
I love it, and I think we should. I'll talk to Jacqueline and see and feel her out on that, and because she believes in the Galactics as well. I think your interest would definitely be. She'd probably want to be involved just to see how it works.
Definitely, yeah.
Knowing her, so I'll definitely talk to her about that when I talk to her next.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank all of our viewers out there for watching. You are wonderful people. Thank you so much for being here, for being part of our family. If anybody listening right now is not yet a member of our Galactic Wisdom Facebook group, then I encourage you to join our Facebook group, because that's sort of our center of activity where we host lots of cool events where you can chat to me and chat to Andrea and Erin sometimes. But until next week, I am going to say goodbye to everybody now. Thank you very much for being here again, Erin. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.
Good night.